over the last few weeks, we've done a few of what we call rants. Rants when we complain about something, right?
What have we done? What have we done?
We've done, I think, three rants. Recently, we did why can't Polish people stand in line? And then a little further back, we did Polish food and some of the weirder aspects of Polish food. The first one was the change crisis, the national change crisis, which irritates the hell out of me and continues to do so every day.
Yeah, and the food one in the end wasn't really about. Well, yeah, it was kind of like all food is.
Yeah, I mean, everybody has their weird stuff, and Poland has it. You know, the galaretka is our favorite, our least favorite weird Polish thing.
And we're going to be getting to that actually in this piece tonight.
That's true. We're going back to galaretka.
It's just going to be a detail. But
anyway, so we were talking about it. We're like, you know what? We don't want to come across as like, you know, bitching and complaining too much about stuff. Although there are some things that irritate us, like standing in line. Please stand in line. Change crisis and stuff like that. But we thought it might be a good idea to balance things out with conversations about stuff we do like.
Well, we all
Polish
live
culture,
here because
right?
we love the place. You know?
Exactly. We don't. Yeah, exactly. So we're going to balance things out by talking about things that we do like, that we are impressed by, and generally, you know, we're cool, right? So then we started thinking, okay, what can we call this? If the discussions about things we don't like are rants, what are the discussions about things we do like? What's the opposite of rant? And we couldn't come up with a good word. So we needed an antonym of rant. Antonym of rant. Rantonym.
Because there is no antonym.
Rantonym, right? So if you're looking at the title of the show, you're thinking, what the hell is a rantonym?
This is a neologism.
There you go. The new word. It's a rantonym.
Okay, let's not dwell on how clever we are. Let's go.
We are very clever. So our first,
it's my joke, by the way.
Our first rantonym. Yeah, full credit to Dave. Yes.
Go, Dave.
Mike said antonym and then a light bulb went on.
Our first rantonym, again, stuff we like, is about Polish weddings.
Yeah.
Polish weddings. Now, Dave is going to start us off in here in just a second, again, listing all the stuff we like about Polish weddings. If you're listening to this, you've either been to a Polish wedding and you know exactly what we're talking about. You know why they're so cool. If you're listening to this, haven't been to a Polish wedding, listen carefully to find out what you're missing out on and try to get your hands on an invitation soon. All right, Dave, start us out. Why do we like Polish weddings so much?
In my opinion, the Polish are to weddings what the Brazilians are traditionally to football. They just know how to do it right. They know how to get the maximum amount of passion and joy from what they're doing, which is, in this case, planning the most important and memorable celebration of most people's lives, their wedding, if they get married. So, where should we start, John?
How about
at the start?
How about are we going to put everything together, like the ceremony itself and the after party, or we're going to divide it up?
I think we should do it chronologically.
Okay, then let's start going to the church.
So let's start at the church. Okay, of course, there's many. I was married in Krakow, and let's not generalize. There's some beautiful churches. I'm sure there's some ugly ass churches in Poland too. But you get to the church, and my first favorite thing about Polish weddings happens. The bride shows up on time. In fact, quite often shows up 5 minutes early. You know, this is wonderful. This is groundbreaking. This needs to be adopted all the world over. Is there anything more annoying than sitting in a church and waiting for 45 minutes on a bride? Michael, have you been in that situation, or have you?
No, I haven't, because actually, generally in Polish Catholic weddings, it's quite standard for the bride and groom to show up at the same time together. None of that father walking down walking the bride to the altar or anything like that. No, they showing up there as an equal couple. So, you know, I basically showed up with my wife, and when everybody was already seated, we walked in. We were 2 minutes late, but I don't think that's really so bad.
I agree. Josh?
I'm not married, so I have nothing to add to this.
You've been to many, many weddings. You played weddings. You were like the wedding singer and all sorts.
Oh, I see. Well, I mean, I can't say that I was particularly keeping a record as to the punctuality of the bride in each case, but I can't remember being particularly kept waiting.
Yeah, it's true. The wedding ceremony is not one of the longer Catholic ceremonies. It doesn't last that long. The signing the book at the end takes a while. But, you know, it moves us on to outside the church.
Oh, wait a second. Can I cut in here real quick?
Of course you can.
We're still inside the church.
In no rush, John.
I know this is a positive thing. We're trying to focus on the positive, but there's one negative. But I don't think this negative is unique to Poland or Poles. I think this has become a universal thing. The picture-taking thing has gone way overboard. Way overboard.
I have to say, this is my one minus point of the Polish wedding experience is overzealous photographer man who is controlling proceedings after the church. I mean, everyone's been frog marched around, Babel Castle, the courtyard, the main square. Like the picture book has to be. I mean, come on, you never look at these things again. Like, I mean,
well, during the ceremony, he's just circling the altar. Basically, he's cutting off everybody's view, and it's just very intrusive, very invasive.
It can be. Okay. So
wait, one more thing though.
So we're what 2-3 minutes into our
we're already complaining.
Peace and love. We're already bitching.
Again, this is not just a Polish thing, I think, but when you get to the vows and they use microphones, you're in massive churches and these microphones, it looks like wedding karaoke suddenly.
The sound engineering in churches is never good, is it?
No.
Can't you do it without microphones?
Really
Can't you do it without amplification? Is that like against the rules now or something?
Well, I mean, they managed it for centuries.
Yeah, that's what I always wonder. Why are they bothering to even use a microphone? But always in modern weddings they do, yeah.
All right, anyway, people, tone down the picture taking, get rid of the microphones maybe. Okay, now we can go outside.
Yeah, and now we're on our way straight to the reception, right? Usually you'll have a bus rented, everyone will head out together.
But you forgot about the lining up to say congratulations to the new couple.
Oh yeah, outside the church and throwing the coins on the ground. I forgot about that.
Yeah, is that obligatory?
Deal with that?
Not everybody does that.
That happened in my wedding though, but we did a little differently. Instead of having the congratulations right at the end of wedding ceremony, we had it at the beginning of the reception, just because we were doing it across the other side of the Rynek. It was like a 5-minute walk. And
how long was this? Because now we're about to move on to the bread and the salt thing. So did you do it all as one kind of double combined ceremony?
It was all together basically. It was just that 20-minute break to walk.
There was fucking salt, bread, coins going everywhere.
No, we didn't have the salt and bread thing. This is one of those things that I've heard about, but all the Polish weddings I've been to, I don't think I've ever actually seen it.
Really?
Yeah.
We had the salt and bread.
Mike, what were you thinking as you were picking up the coins, by the way?
Actually, I got hit in the face with some coins because we did this inside the building, and somebody threw those coins. I think they wanted to arch and have it rain down on us, but actually hit a chandelier, shattered some of the glass, which fell on my head of the coin. So on my wedding day, I almost lost an eye.
Good story.
I'll never forget my wedding video. My good friend Darren Ward, who would never ever lower himself to listen to this show. There's a great close-up of him when he sees the coin thing happening, and he just looks a look of total disgust over his face. He watched this ancient ceremony unfold. Cracks me up every time.
So you say congratulations to the new couple, and then you get on a bus. Most people rent a bus.
Yeah.
If there's a a long haul to the restaurant, obviously. Yeah. And then time to go eat.
Well, we're not ready to eat yet, John. We're not even at the venue. We've just got on the bus, for God's sake.
I was thinking about food, sorry.
So we're pulling up. We're in the car park. Where are we? We're at a classic Polish wedding venue on the edge of any city in this country. Old country houses, old lodges, old great, venues that have been repurposed. The wedding industry is massive in Poland. And I find these venues great. They allow... it's not like... In Ireland and the UK and in America, I'm sure it's hotels, restaurants, stuff like that. There's a proper wet bar there, whereas these are function rooms, that allow you to self-cater in a way with the alcohol, which is the excellent side of a Polish wedding. I think we should touch on right now. You don't have to pay for any alcohol at a Polish wedding. Fantastic.
Oh my God, every time I went to a wedding in the UK and Australia and the States, the concept of having to pay for the alcohol, pay for the booze. As a guest, I just couldn't understand it. We showed up, we got a glass of wine, maybe one drink for a toast, and then we were expected to actually go buy our drinks or beers, and I couldn't understand it. And nobody was actually drinking that much. People would have 1 or 2 drinks and call it a night. I'm like, this is a wedding. Alcohol is a given.
Wait, Dave, are you saying in Ireland people do pay for their own drinks at weddings?
Well, no, the afternoon reception drinks will be free. There'll be Prosecco and champagne and some beers usually. And then you go and you're seated at your table and there'll be wine with dinner. And then after dinner, there'll be a free round usually for the table. And then in Ireland, we kind of term it the afters. Then the party starts, the bar opens. And
like a cash bar?
Cash bar, yeah. Wow. Otherwise, the venues in Ireland tend to be, say, old country hotels or something like that. I mean, the bar is there. Why wouldn't they open it?
Well, nobody here in Poland pays for their own drinks at a wedding. Nobody. It never, ever happens.
Yeah, so that's we're here to celebrate the Polish wedding, and that's certainly something worth touching on. Next, they line up outside for the bread and the salt ceremony. John, I know you love the symbolism of this ceremony, so I'd like you to describe
the bread
it.
and salt thing, I'll be honest, I don't know exactly what it's all about. My guess is it's something to do with fertility, because these things are always about fertility one way or another, or some kind of good luck. I don't know. I'll defer to Mike. Mike, can you sound more informed than I am about this?
I'm not so sure if it's about fertility. I mean, hell, when you're thinking sex, do you really want to think about rubbing salt anywhere? I mean, it doesn't really work out too well then.
Never
Well,
thought
the
about
salt
that, actually.
is actually to remind you that life is full of challenges and misery, which I never associate with salt. I just
I love
associate with it making delicious things even more delicious.
It's like, pass me some of that life is a bitch, please.
So after the bread and salt thing is done, whatever the symbolism means, then it's time to eat, right?
No. Of course, the antonym of a rantonym is a rant, John. And our last rant was about how Polish people can't queue properly. Except we forgot to mention one thing. At a wedding, they queue in the most wonderful fashion possible. They also solve a massive issue with Irish, English, and American weddings, which is when and where do you hand the envelope, the gifts to the bride, the groom, the best man. It's unclear at most weddings how this should be done. So you end up with the mother of the bride, the mother of the groom, the best man, the lead bridesmaid, all running around contributing different envelopes to a bag, which is being systematically stored in the hotel safe. There's a bit of panic. It's all kind of like, it's all a bit helter-skelter, a bit all over the place. No, at a Polish wedding, everyone lines up in a beautiful, orderly fashion, front of the bride and groom. They wish them well. It's air kisses all the way. It's love and happiness and little children
Flowers,
smiling and laughing.
Tear to the eye.
It's also quite efficient. It takes place quite quickly. Even if you're at the back of that queue, you'll be done in 10, 15 minutes. Everyone's chatting. It's actually a good first point of meeting. You never know who you'll be behind in the queue. Oh, who are you? I'm Dave. And then it's done. The gifts are collected. They're put in a safe, whatever. The party can continue. John, now we can eat.
Thank God for that.
Well, which is good, because you need some food to balance out all this alcohol you're going to drink all night, right? And I think the way that they do it is very well done, because you go to your table at the reception. There's already there'll be some cakes. There'll be maybe some cold cuts, or what do you call it? A
Galaretka.
a galaretka. Everybody's favorite galaretka. There's like a self-service cold cut bar nearby
buffet,
for sure, a buffet. But the point is they remind you that you do need to have little bites of this or that to, again, balance out the effect of the alcohol that's waiting on your table when you get there.
Laden down with alcohol, fruits, cakes, on top of all the wonderful things you guys mentioned. I mean, Mikey, I don't know about you, but when I sit down at a Polish wedding table, I just I know it's time.
It's a beautiful sight. It is. It's nice. It's nice.
And it's early. It's still early.
Yeah, the sun's still up. I mean, and it's not going to end for the next 6, 7, 8, 9 hours. It's just
At least.
Another good thing that you can look forward to towards the beginning of a Polish wedding party is the toast. When everybody takes their seat, I guess the best man, or maybe the family of the bride and groom will make a toast to the new couple, et cetera. So that's great. But the great part is what they don't do at almost every American, Irish, English wedding, which is a best man speech. Sorry, I know we're supposed to stay on the positive side. I'm not supposed to complain. I'm going to complain about weddings outside of Poland. The best man speech is something that we can often do without. Is that crazy?
Look, it's fair to say
in Poland.
The ideal scenario at the Irish, English, American wedding is 4 speeches, 20 minutes. Off the stage. Okay, I know at every Irish wedding there's always a pool at every table. Everyone puts in a tenner and you bet on the time of the speeches from start to finish and see how long it's going to last. I find the biggest offenders are the fathers for long-winded speeches, but that's the problem. When people break the time,
they're paying for it. They can do whatever they want to do.
You can lose a whole hour of a much shorter party.
That's something that I've been to several Polish weddings before I went to my first, foreign wedding. And it blew my mind. We're sitting here. I thought we were just going to start socializing, drinking. No, somebody stands up and starts talking, and I thought it was going to be
people
like a toast.
People are still drinking.
Yeah, and I assumed they were just going to say, "I'd like to congratulate the newlyweds. Let's all give them a toast." Blah blah blah. And I thought we'd be done. No, the guy starts saying some anecdotes, some stories. Like when we were 4 years old, I remember this one time he shat himself. It's and it just keeps going and going. All right, finally sits down and we have a drink.
That was your wedding, wasn't it?
No speeches at my
Mikey
wedding.
shitty bands.
And within before you get ready, you get another drink. Then the father starts, then the mother, then somebody else shows up. Like people you hadn't seen in 30 years decide to start speaking for an hour and a half.
Anyway, let's talk, John. Let me just take over here for a second. Let's talk about the science of the Polish wedding. My main fascination with
Science?
Yes, it's like the whole thing I've been to many Polish weddings, I think 8 or 9 down the years, and I think it's like a great recipe being passed down through the ages. Feasting has been a thing forever, and the science of feasting has been embedded into the culture of the Polish wedding perfectly. The whole idea is drink, eat, make merry, and then the dancing comes into play. The music starts early at a Polish wedding. It's like a little bit of calisthenics to circulate the blood. Would you like a coffee? Let's have more vodka. Let's have some food. Let's have some hot food. Let's have some sweet food, sugar, salt, alcohol,
Nice balance.
dance,
Fat.
Everything is just this glorious, kind of, wrenching up of enjoyment, and the whole thing just gets crazier and crazier, and it goes on forever. It's fucking wonderful.
I mean, that's another thing I couldn't stand. The first time I went to a wedding outside of Poland, it was done like at 11:45. I thought it was just getting started, and all of a sudden we'd like to thank all our
Subject
guests.
to licensing laws. So,
And it was over. It's like, what? It just started.
I think in Poland, if you leave before probably 2 a.m, you're basically deeply offending your hosts. It's like saying that your party sucks and I'm going home.
So I don't think we've dwelled enough, for anyone who hasn't been to a Polish wedding, on just how much fucking food comes out as well. Hot food.
Yeah.
I mean, this is on top of the massive buffet. Yeah, that's there for all night. You can go to any time you want. Cold buffet, your egg salads, get your million
And
types
the
of
endless
smoked
bottles of
meat,
vodka on
sausage.
your table.
Endless bottles of vodka. Huge dessert trays already on the table. Cold salads on the table. All sorts of accoutrements and soft drinks everywhere. And then the whole time, every hour or two, you're getting a new hot meal. And my favourite, personally, is around the time at about 2 a.m. where they serve the hot goulash.
Well, the stroganoff,
The stroganoff, or or the stew. Like,
Yeah, you're reaching the small hours of the morning. Some people are starting to,
Get that
wind
into
down
you.
a little bit. You think things are coming to a close. No, here come the waiters and waitresses with
here comes
with
Mad
these
Uncle
big
Suave with the
trays of
vodka
bowls
bottle.
and stuff. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna, I want to drink with you and then grope your daughter. It's
Again, your wedding, I guess. Yeah, second wind, and it gives you the energy you need to go until the sun comes up.
Then there's the midnight games, gets everyone back on the dance floor.
Can't avoid the games.
And this is well before the clean 3 more hours everyone's going to spend dancing after this. There's this wonderful tradition of what some of the examples of the games now I've seen at weddings, relay races. But one of the relays will be you have to. Each person has to smoke an entire cigarette, really quick. Each person has to knock back a
That's
pint,
a Polish wedding.
I mean, this is serious stuff. That was one I was saying. All sorts of questions, blind question and answer games, all sorts of quiz show shit, man. It was fucking.
There's
it's
always
awesome. You
something
never
that
know what to
involves
expect.
a blindfold and feeling somebody's leg.
And then the classic kind of isn't there always a classic game of what you call when the chairs keep getting taken away? Yeah,
Musical chairs.
musical chairs. Yeah.
And that's when the conga line usually forms, sometime around just after the second or third game session. It's inevitable.
Impromptu conga line. What is the story with that, Mike? Have you any insight on the giant conga line thing?
I don't know. I think that's just a natural human reaction to vodka and the fact that it's already 2 a.m. Oh, but another one of the games is that's a little different than Poland. How in the U.S. in the movies you always have the bouquet being thrown back and who's going to get married next. You don't have that in Poland. You have something kind of close to that. That's usually that the bride throws her veil behind her head and all the single women try to fight over
And
it.
the groom throws the tie.
He throws his bow tie. Actually, I had a second bow tie ready because I liked my bow tie. It was it was tailor made from material.
Decoy, huh?
Yeah, so I had a second decoy one.
Made to
set up,
measure
yeah.
for your neck.
Exactly. I had a real bow tie. Everybody was shocked that I had a real bow tie and not a clip-on thing. It's I wouldn't really know how to use a clip-on. I know how to use a bow tie, how to tie a bow tie, but I don't know how to tie a tie. I'm kind of weird that way. But yeah, those are one of those standard things that is really different than weddings outside of Poland.
You'll have to put up with 4 to 6 disco polo tunes throughout the evening.
Come on. Enjoy, you mean. At that point in the morning, after that many drinks, you're happy to hear disco polo.
I think we only had about 2 songs like that at our wedding. We actually asked the band to hold back on those songs. They were quite happy, but we asked them to play a lot of like Polish early 80s rock songs, like your Combi and Perfect and all that kind of stuff. I don't know why. I like some sentimental, like nostalgic.
We nearly broke our wedding band's heart when we got Josh and Nathan up to play a few tunes in the middle of proceedings. They didn't know what hit them. They didn't.
So you reach 3, 4 in the morning.
Bunch of musicians. What hit them?
Things are coming to a close. Things are winding down. How do you handle a graceful exit from a Polish wedding?
Another tradition I like about Polish weddings, as far as I'm aware.
I did just ask a question, by the way. I don't know if you heard that.
Yeah, and I'm answering it. I was just making it sound like I didn't hear you, in fairness to you. The tradition of the bride and groom being the last to go to bed. That's great. Like, it kind of, stay up party as long as you want. I like that. And I'll shake your hand as you go off to sleep.
They say, I've never been to a wedding like this. Maybe you have. They say in the country, like out in the sticks, no offense, it's a 2-day thing.
2 days, if not more. I mean, the general tradition, like a lot of Polish weddings, is that you have the second day, the poprawina. There was like all right, you're all hungover and everything like that. We need a little bit of hair of the dog, a little more food, and we need to drink a little bit more now. So basically, the next day, you start with a brunch that starts with heavy drinking, and it's more partying.
Yeah, we had a second day in my wedding. All weddings in Poland have a second day. Yeah, it's 3 days in the village.
You've reminded me of my very first Polish wedding I attended. Hi, Magic and Annetta, you're doing fine. It was in a village. It was in the fire station. It ticked all the boxes for a really. I mean, we've been talking about manor houses and these, but this is how it's been done for a long time.
I've been to a classic village wedding, nothing like it as well.
And not only is it a 2-day affair, but the wedding hosts, and I have never seen any exception to this, if you're not local, then they make sure that you have somewhere to stay, and you will be taken there. If you are completely paralytic, you'll be woken up in the morning and dragged back to the fire station and forcibly injected with more vodka.
Josh, you have made me remember my absolute favourite thing about Polish weddings, which is the rock star treatment you get if you're a non-Polish person at a Polish wedding.
Oh, yes.
It's fucking wonderful. It's like you've descended from outer space. Thank you for spending time with us, Dave. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, but I remember another thing. It's like we're talking about the multi-day weddings. Our wedding, oddly enough, ended kind of early by Polish standards. I think my wife and I were out by about 5:30 or something like that in the morning. Maybe it was about coming up to 6. But yeah, guests were basically partying hard until 3 or 4 in the morning. Then they start to die down. And like the last hour was just like me and like a close group of friends having our drinks. That's when I really let loose, because during a wedding, when you're the couple, there's a lot of things you need to take care of. But I just remember at the end, the band, like at 5:30, they start packing up their stuff. I remember my best man, he was a little tipsy and he wanted to, he kept asking me like, hey man, you like the guitar? I can grab it for you. I can grab it for you. They won't notice that.
He was more than a little tipsy.
Yeah, it's like, and when they were packing up stuff, he actually wanted to jump into the crate or the box where they're putting the percussion away. So yeah.
All right, so don't invite Mike's friends to your wedding. That's the rule here.
Another couple of things. There's nearly always a beer tap at a modern Polish wedding as well, so you can have draft beer all day as well. And there was one other thing I wanted to mention that I love about Polish weddings. Polish people know not to buy you gifts. To give you, that's in the queue. You'll see many people with flowers. That's considered a personal touch at a Polish wedding, because the Polish people are sensible. They know everyone wants cash at their wedding. There's no gift list. There's no confusion.
No registry.
There's no messing. There's an envelope stuffed with cash. Quite a lot of fucking cash, I have to say. It's that Catholic thing, isn't it? Weddings and communions, and you give generously. And I have to say, the only difficulty we had putting this piece together is that we fucking love Polish weddings so much. We didn't know. We were worried we might forget something. I'm sure there's things we're forgetting.
With the cash thing, we could just talk about how much that one problem that a lot of people have is like they don't know how much cash to give. That's probably one of the big problems.
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
How well do you know them? How long have you known them? Is it family, friends?
How much do you expect to drink on their dime?
Are you a couple?
Are you a couple? That's a tough one.
Usually one of the rules is like if they'd been to your wedding, you give back more or less how much you got from them. That's kind of like, so that's not so bad, because the whole scenario is...
So they set the bar for you, really.
Yeah, in that way, and vice versa. But like I think the standard right now is if you're not too close of a friend or it's kind of distant, it's 300 to 500. It's like in that ballpark.
As I said, extremely generous cash givers, the Poles, when it comes to official ceremony.
I think the rule of thumb is you basically want to make sure you pay for yourself, right? Because they paid for you to be there. And the per person, it depends, but I think it's roughly 250 to 300 per head these days, I think.
That's about how much it costs, yeah.
So for a couple, you'd give 500-600 just to cover your own costs. And it goes up from there, I guess, yeah.
I think we should also, expose expats' behaviour at Polish weddings, because expats famously make the mistake that Poles never would, is that they drink pints of lager from the time they get to the venue, combine it with all of the amounts of vodka that Polish people drink and hand them, and usually end up a few of them on the floor in the corner weeping to themselves at about 7 p.m.
Actually, that happened to one of my DJs.
Well, that's our rantonym, our first rantonym, how much we love Polish weddings. We have to do a lot of more of these in the future, stuff we'd like. Of course, for every rantonym we do, it means we have a license to make another rant to keep things balanced, So we'll have to think about what we're going to rant about, what we're going to rantonym about. Either way, keep your eye on the KrakCast for all the things that we like and that we don't like about being here in Krakow in Poland. For Josh, Dr. Mike, and Dave, I'm John. We'll see you next time on the show.